I clicked it. Welcome to Road to Blake Street, where one of us knows what the word banter and the other one is just along for the ride. Isaac, say hello.
What's up? Which one of us is the one that knows what the word banter means?
I would say it's me.
Okay.
I watch a lot of English soccer, so it's in my vocab arsenal. Also,
right.
We are like a top 5 baseball podcast in the UK, and I always wondered why. It makes a lot of sense because like they see banter, and I think they assume that we're from there. They're like,
is that
it's
an
one of us.
actual thing?
We were up there, yeah. I think we were like 7 or something. So. But it makes sense, yeah. So shout out all my brothers over there on that little tiny island. Did you pitch this week? Any games this week?
Dude, I did. Last Friday, I pitched a scoreless inning, 7 pitches, 1 strikeout. So put me on the bump again, right?
Yeah. I mean, with the arm all messed up.
It's all right. So. It's okay. I make do.
So you were being dramatic last week. I see. So this is a really fun week. Everybody ate this week. We'll go through the system almost. Outside Albuquerque, we dominated. We look at huge call-ups here, and we also have a fun rehab assignment. A couple guys coming back, so it might be a longer pod, but it's going to be jam-packed with fun stuff. Let's start with the top in the big news, the thing that got a bunch of likes, comments. Charlie Condon and Jared Thomas both go up to Hartford. Of course, it comes out at like 10 p.m. last night. I'm scrambling to make a graphic. But this is one of the more fun call-ups we've seen. Jared Thomas especially, we've been hammering the table for him to get the call-up. Isaac, explain I know, you're not Tyler. Explain just the significance of this call-up in the Rockies prospect world.
Yeah, I'm pretty honored to be called Tyler. That's a big deal in the BSB community. But Jared Thomas this season, he's doing everything right. As a drafted early, was it his sophomore year?
Yeah, he's drafted as a sophomore, so he could have gone back and probably built more draft stock up.
Right, and I mean, I'm glad he didn't because he's putting up some of the craziest numbers this season. He's doing it all on both sides of the ball. He's been a great player, and everything is telling us that his play is going to continue on over to Hartford. There's no big flaws into our second rounder's name. Super exciting.
And then Charlie Condon. This week was really funny because in Spokane, we'll go back. Everyone ate in Spokane, especially Spokane. And Charlie Condon didn't. Only 6 hits, had 10 strikeouts. So kind of a weird time to get the call-up. But we all know what's within Charlie Condon. You're going to get a good bat and potentially 40 home runs to dream on, right? So Hartford's going to be fun. We'll talk about Hartford a little later. But there's already prospects in Hartford that we love. Cole Carey, Karros had a walk-off this week. Jose Cordova's balling out. And then we have more guys coming into the fold. Zach Agnos is back, who gets called up to the MLB, has a couple good starts or a couple good outings, and then a couple really rough outings there. And then gets put back down to Arizona to work on some stuff. And now he's back in AAA, 2 innings pitched, did allow a run, but it's just good to see him back, right, Isaac?
Oh, yeah. And like the entire thing, like Warren Schaefer was looking for is him to just like figure himself out again. And the fact that he's back in Albuquerque so soon is indicating that he is back to where he is, hopefully. And those 2 innings pitched were solid and saw solid results out of it as well.
Did you see the Warren Schaefer's ejection?
Yeah, it was a really good like gum throw, hat slam.
Did John Boy make a video about it?
No, he didn't. But it was a pitch. It was a strike, and I really liked how he was like pointing at the plate where the pitch crossed.
Yeah, he's like going down there. Yeah, that was fun. I've always said Bud Black, if we're gonna lose 100 games, he should break the record for most ejections in a season. And he never did. He never even got close to it. But, I mean, Warren Schaefer's probably not the guy. But if you want to have some fun, I think that would be fun. And he got his money's worth, too, from that ejection.
It was a fun ejection, yeah. First one of the season for the Rockies. Well, Tyler Freeman was.
Yeah, Tyler Freeman was the first ejection.
That was absurd. That was weird. Did he even say
I think that he wasn't mad at the strike call, per se. I think it was the quick ejection is what got him fired up. And then he's like, got to defend his player, which I love. Tyler Freeman's balling out, too, so you got to make sure you stand up for him. Another guy that's going to be making a comeback here, Brody Brecht, has been injured since the middle of May. It's been almost 2 months since this injury. He's making a rehab assignment this week. I think he made one last week, if I'm not wrong. Just a fun arm to have back. One of my favorite prospects, has a good head on his shoulders. Just one of those guys that I just believe in, and I know he'll do great things. And then the big one today, Isaac, Austin Nola gets the call up potentially, right?
That's right. The Rockies got themselves a new backup catcher. Almost as if like a Cuban with insane power isn't on the call up to the majors as well, right?
Yeah, and then next to him will be Yanquiel Fernandez, who is probably going to steal all the spotlight from Austin Nola. But this is, for me, kind of almost sad because I feel like Yank is the last one in that batch of like 2023 prospects to get the call up. It almost feels like that, almost like a graduation of that group of players, I guess. And if you look, you would have told me like all those guys are in the league, I would have been like, we're probably really good. And then, yeah. So Yanquiel Fernandez has had such a weird year. And we look at, he's going to pull the ball a lot. So I know you love the pulled balls numbers. If you can pull a bunch of balls, a lot of fly balls, you can just sneak a couple home runs out of the stadium. And he does it. I think he's at a 97th percentile in the PCL doing that. He's not going to strike out, which is interesting because he's usually a high strikeout guy, high power guy. You kind of expect that to correlate. He's also not really walking, so it's a really weird player. His zone swing percent is 76%, which you love to see. He's recognizing in zone stuff, but also his out of zone swing percent is 40%, which is one of the worst that is measured. So, Isaac, right now, what are the expectations for Yanquiel Fernandez?
I mean, last night he had a ball like over 460 feet or something absurd like that. The raw power is one of the most evident in the entire organization. It's hard to say like what the expectation is, like how we can predict how he's going to do at the major league level. Like with Zach Veen, for example, he was doing solid in AAA. He got the call up and he struggled. And I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. It was like an evident thing. And a lot of guys do struggle from that call up from AAA to the majors. What I like about Yanquiel Fernandez, though, is his ability to put the bat on ball, which he's doing this year. It's he's what is it? He's chasing quite a bit. He's swinging at pitches outside of the zone at 40% of the time, which that's going to get you. You're not going to be saved by hitting a ball when you're facing 100 miles per hour. So I don't know if he's going to do great, but I like his contact, his ability to hit the ball better than Zach Veen's, and the power is more evident than Veen's as well. So if it could be like a Jordan Beck situation where he just comes out swinging, I'm not going to be surprised. But again, if there is struggles, he's 22 years old, 21 years old. He'll figure it out eventually. A lot of time left.
Yeah, still super young. And I think if anything, maybe correct me if you think this is wrong, I think Yanquiel will be a very volatile bat in the lineup. I think 1 month he'll look like Aaron Judge. The next month you'll be asking why he's not in AAA. And there's a lot of players like that, especially when you see high chase rates. You're going to get that type of player. Like he's going to eat some weeks, and some weeks he's going to really struggle. And to be honest, the Rockies right now, we're still on pace to become the worst team ever. So if we just get a couple good weeks out of Yank, that's kind of all we want. And if we can just build upon those good weeks, he's going to have good weeks. He has the talent in that, and especially as like a pure raw hitter, right? We know what he is in the outfield, or defensively, it's not much. But after play, I think we know there is enough talent in there to carry his legacy, carry his WAR, that number that everybody loves to look at. And I think there's a pretty good player in there.
Lewis, were you you said you didn't start getting into baseball until like 2020, right?
Yeah, at least like full time, like really
Okay.
caring.
Did you hear about like Arcetti Sakino on the Reds? He was a
No,
rookie with
is that
11
the
home
I
runs in
know.
one season
Yeah. I know
or
it's from
1 month.
yes.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Yanquiel Fernandez just popped up in like August and hit 11 home runs out of nowhere and get his name on the board, because that is what kind of raw power he has. So if you are a baseball fan and you know Arcetti Sakino, that could be the next Yanquiel Fernandez, or vice versa, actually.
Who was the guy last year on the Reds? Is it Christian Encarnacion Strand? Was kind of the same thing. Bunch of power, but hasn't really worked out. I don't want to say it's the
Maybe
same level prospect, but
that same kind of caliber of hit or miss with
yeah.
homers,
Like
power.
Yank is like the type of guy where like if you play him, he could have 10 hits, 3 home runs, and you're looking at his stat line, you're like, how did that guy have 10 hits, 3 home runs? But it's like that's just what it's going to be like. 1 week it's going to be really rough, 1 week it's going to be good. That's what I'm predicting. Austin Nola will jump back on him. I kind of like Austin Nola a little bit. One thing I always look at when in terms of just like how are you going to be at the plate is in zone contact percent. If you can't hit it in the zone, like you're going to struggle, especially in the MLB. Like everybody has great stuff in the MLB. 95th percentile zone contact percent, which is 88%, which is just going to carry himself, which means he's not going to be an easy out. He's not going to be dumb in the box. He's not going to be staring at strikes. He's also not going to strike out, only a 13% strikeout rate in the PCL. Not going to walk either. So as a backup catching option, a depth piece, I think this is a solid call up. Not going to be a liability in the lineup. And plus he has a lot of experience already. I know his brother's in the league. So 35 years old, you can't really go wrong with that.
For sure.
Let's get down to isotopes. I know I said everybody dominated, but the isotopes went 1-5. So they're the one that kind of held us back here. Zach Veen was really the standout. 13 for 23, 4 doubles, and a home run. We talked a little bit off air about Veen. I think Veen is just going to keep eating in AAA. And when do you think the next time Veen will be caught up? What do you think? Who do you think he'll replace on the roster?
See, that's tough that Yanquiel Fernandez just got the call up, because
Yeah, now he's behind.
I assumed with Veen's streak it was going to be Zach Veen. So I think it could be like one cold streak from Yanquiel. That could be a time where the Rockies say, okay, we're done with you. It's time for Zach Veen to call up and see if you could do better than Yanquiel. And maybe that could be something we see throughout the season. But I don't know if there's ever going to be a solidified role for Zach Veen until he can get a good streak of success at the majors. And it could be soon. I don't know when it can be, but there's something to look forward to, is what the sitch is with Zach Veen.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like he's down the pecking order again. It's a weird call up, the Yank call up, because you start his service time clock instead of you would imagine if I was the GM, I would have Veen get caught up so you don't start the service time. But I guess you do want to see what you want to get or see what you're gonna get from Yank.
Right.
Sean Bouchard, 6 for 21 this week. 2 home runs though. With 2 new call ups, 2 new guys needing to go on the 40-man. The question is, where's the 40-man roster spot? And there's 2 guys. Sean Bouchard's one of them that I'm looking at as maybe a DFA candidate. We'll get to the other one here soon. Yanquiel Fernandez this week. Current call in Albuquerque. 6 for 18, 3 home runs, 3 walks, and only 4 Ks. He's been having a lot of professional at-bats lately. You love to see it. Keston Hera back in Albuquerque, still mashing. 4 for 12, double and a home run. Austin Nola went 4 for 13 this week with 2 doubles. And then Drew Romo is the other guy that I kind of alluded to that could be a DFA candidate. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings, especially on Rocky Twitter, about Drew Romo. And I think we're at an all-time low with Drew Romo. 2 for 15 this week. We look at the underlying numbers. It's not good. His expected WOBA 6th percentile, hard hit rate is 6th percentile, max EV is only 105. His 90th percentile is fourth percentile. Zone contact rate is solid, but it's still below average. He's pulling the ball, which is probably saving him a little bit with a couple home runs here and there. Striking out at 33% rate, walking very little. It's currently, man, I feel like we're at the depths of Drew Romo's prospect hype right now.
Yeah, and again, like he's a 23-year-old, like he has time to turn it around. I think that there is a very strong possibility that he can be DFA'd. And if you're the Rockies, this is the time to DFA him so you can keep him in the system, hope he clears waivers, and continue to try and develop him into a hitting defensive specialist catcher that we all wished and hoped to see from the Rockies, from Drew Romo, I mean, a couple of years ago. And like, you can't take the dog out of the
Fight
dog.
or
Can't
the
take the bite out of the dog,
fight
right?
yeah.
And the dog is still biting for Drew Romo. That was a banter.
Yeah, we're bantering today. No,
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. You want to keep this guy in the system. I mean, I worry if I'm a team like Tampa Bay, or I guess the White Sox don't have any catcher or have too many catchers, so not them. Maybe Miami, but I think probably not. I think they like their catching, the young guys there. So I mean, I'm kind of going around the league in my head right now, and I think we could sneak a DFA. And I don't think any
100%.
team that's good is going to try and get Drew Romo because you don't want him playing every day, or at least like 3 times a week. So maybe we could sneak him. I do worry though about like a potential Miami or just someone who's going to just take a risk, a flyer. But I alluded to earlier before the pod when we were talking, I said there's a lot of really solid catchers in the MLB right now. I know the Cubs are struggling to get Ballesteros playing time because they have Carson Kelly. And we just look around the league and I feel like every team has a solid tandem. And Drew Romo, I think he's going to be stuck in Albuquerque because of that.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Hartford, where more fun was had. 5-1 record. Starting off the top, we'll go with Karros, who had a walk-off that mirrored the opening night of the season. Bottom of the ninth, 2-run shot to win it. 8 for 13 this week, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. And the guy I really want to talk about, Jose Cordova. Usually looked at as minor league depth. No one's really had a prospect ranking on this guy. The catcher, 5 for 13 this week, but he does most of his work on the bases. He's going to get on base. He's a .433 on base percentage this season. He's up there. I know you had a stat earlier before the pod about how he's like top 3 in the Eastern League in WRC plus or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's going to elaborate on that. Third, more walks than strikeouts. Dude's just killing it so far this year.
Yeah. He is 6th in the Eastern League in WRC plus, number 1 in on base percentage when we take into account how many at bats he's had this season. But Jose Cordova, as you mentioned, like minor league depth as the mentality, he's always been blocked by other catchers. Like he was on the lower levels when Drew Romo was, and then when Hunter Goodman came around, he didn't have a spot there. Then we saw guys like Brecht and Fulford, who also has a major league spot right now. He's been blocked for a big majority of his career. So going into this season in Hartford, when there isn't a solidified catcher, Jose Cordova really showed off what he can do and what he's capable of. And I think the fact that he's putting up a .433 on base percentage is showing what kind of offensive coverage he can have, especially in Hartford, where it's not easy hitting, pitching, right?
Yeah, especially in Duncan Park. It's a below average
Yeah.
Park for the hitters. Eastern League always tends to have just crazy good pitching prospects. You have the Mets system, the Yankees system, the Orioles system is always great, and then Philly system. So you have so many good systems, so many pedigree, high pedigree systems, and he's killing it. And he's kind of been under the radar. I do a lot of the graphics, and almost every time he has a good performance, it's like 1 for 1, 4 walks, and it's like it's not sexy, but that's an amazing day at the ballpark, and he does that so often. So shout out Jose Cordova, give him all his flowers, and hopefully, I think next year he'll be in Albuquerque, and he's going to rank there for sure.
Yeah.
And then Benny Montgomery had a little bit of a short week, only 11 at-bats, but got 5 hits and a double. Blake Adams, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, and 3 Ks. So he's been killing it, kind of back to what he was in the beginning of the year, just killing it. McCade Brown, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks and 6 Ks. Hartford has so much good pitching right now. Mason Green, 4.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs. Your boy Wellington Herrera, 3.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks. Colin Bumgarner, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs. Jack Mahoney, I might have missed him here. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 4 Ks. And then Brian Castillo, Carson Skipper, and Alec Barger all through multiple innings and no earned runs. Just a fun week in Hartford. 5 wins on 1 week. I think the second half started, so start the second half hot. Or if it didn't start, end the first half amazing. But I do think the second half is started. Down to Spokane, who I think will probably spend the most time here. 5-1 this week, and everybody in this lineup raked. Aiden Longwell, this has got to be the 10th pod in the row where we're talking about Aiden Longwell. His hit tool is great. He's sneakily having a bunch of power in Spokane. 10 hits this week, 2 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs. Just as a player, I kind of wish he was part of the call-ups that we saw with Jared Thomas and Charlie Condon, because I think he's outgrown this level. He's proven he can hit these pitchers. He's really zoned in on these pitchers, and I don't want to talk about him too much because we talk about him every single week, but he's there. He's going to ball out. Andy Perez, 10 for 28, a double, 7 RBIs, 3 Ks, and 3 stolen bases. Kind of a get-right week for Andy Perez, almost like a Dion Jorge. I feel like started the season really well, but it's kind of tapered off here. But 10 hits this week, so you love to see it. Hopefully the second half to be big for Andy Perez. We know what he can do when he gets on a stride. So he can also be really consistent throughout a long portion of the season. We saw that in Fresno, and hopefully we see it here in the second half. Jared Thomas this week, 9 for 24, a double, home run, 2 walks, 6 Ks, in a call-up. So this week ends in a call-up for him. 9 for 24, he's still hitting the ball well, so he deserves it. And he's been hitting the ball well all season. The best hitter in that league, and that league does only have 6 teams, so it's not really like, there's not much talent there in terms of quantity. But there's still a lot of good pitching. You have guys like Montes in Seattle system, who's just straight up a hitter, and Jared Thomas is, I think, better than him so far this year. I think power-wise, Montes would probably be a 40 home run guy. But Braylon Wimmer, another guy, him and Braylon Wimmer and Aiden Longwell are, everybody wants to talk about Charlie Condon and Jared Thomas, but I'm really honed in on Aiden Longwell and Braylon Wimmer. Both college bats coming out and high floor, and we're seeing the floor shine right now. 9 for 25, 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Hit for the cycle this week, but not in one game, but like for the week. But still with a high average. Cole Messina, Moose, we talked about him last week as a guy that could really shine in the second half. 8 for 19, 3 doubles. We know the pop is there. We know the power is there. We just talked about catchers, and this could be another guy that could be called up. I don't want to stain Cole Messina, because I feel like we did that with Romo, where it's like best catcher in franchise history could be Drew Romo. I don't want to do that with any other catching prospect ever again. So Cole Messina, just keep doing your thing. You're going to keep breaking. Charlie Condon, 7 for 29 with 10 Ks. Rough week for Charlie Condon, but gets the call up, and we all know the talent's there, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm excited to see him in the Eastern League. I live on the East Coast, so those Hartford games are really convenient. Spokane starts at 10 p.m., so especially sometimes I just don't really want to stay up and watch Spokane. So it's good to see him in the Eastern time zone. EJ Andrews, I feel like we haven't said his name at all this year, but still in Spokane. 5 for 16, double, triple, home run. And then when I was doing the rundown, you saw Connor Ian Isaac joined the StreamYard as I was writing the rundown. And I was like, 11 strikeouts. Oh my, like I said it to myself. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, and 11 strikeouts. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, and 11 strikeouts. This is a guy we talked about last week. Has just blown the expectations out of the water. Like, he's killing it in Spokane. He's going long in the game. 6 innings pitched is nothing to scoff at in the minor leagues. Isaac, give me the rundown. How excited are you about Connor Ian as a prospect right now?
Gosh, it's like the same kind of feeling I had when Carson Palmquist and Sean Sullivan were at the lower levels, because just going deep into games, getting double-digit strikeout numbers from a left-handed pitcher is always exciting stuff. And when you're a lefty and you have strikeout caliber stuff, more likely than not, you are going to have a quicker road to the show, right? And Connor Ian, he can be a guy, if he puts up the same kind of production of this whiff potential, we could see him in the MLB in a year or two. And I don't think that's really far-fetched for me to say with this kind of performances he's been putting up this season, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, this guy could fly through the system with the talent that he has. Smaller school guy out of George Washington, so always fun to see those guys succeed. And then I know a guy that you love, Alberto Pacheco, 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 5 Ks. Had a really rough middle of the season, so
Yeah.
glad to see him get back to what we know he will be. We just kind of sped through all of this. Let's go down to Fresno.
Whew.
Derek Bernard. I mean, there's not a prospect that I think is less talked about when it comes to the amount of helium he could have. Derek Bernard could rise up prospect boards. 12 for 26 this week, a double, 2 home runs, only 3 strikeouts to 2 walks. His development path when it comes from going from the ACL to Fresno, which is a really tough jump for a 19, 20-year-old to make, he's killed that jump. He has.
Yeah.
I expect players to kind of sort of hold on, right? Kind of fight through the challenges, but he has done more than that. He has become a very good player at this level already. You'd love to see him just blasting through all the expectations. Your guy, Royner Fernandez, 11 for 27, a double, 3 walks. And then Robert Calaz gets a get-right series. We've had a couple brutal weeks for Robert Calaz. Just almost every week we're talking about him having a 500 OPS this week, a 600 OPS the next. This time it's in the 900s, 9 for 23, a triple, 5 RBIs. Where are you at with Calaz right now? Because I don't know where I'm at with the prospect level, but I still believe a ton in this guy.
It's every week you're like spitting out this propaganda. I'm not gonna say that, but
That's
Robert
fair.
Calaz, you are always putting a different idea into my brain, and I've always tried to stay set in stone that Robert Calaz, his tools aren't always going to equate to the box score, because what he does right is solid. He hits the ball hard, and you can hit a ball hard 20 times in a row and only have 3 hits. You could look at that and say 3 for 20, that's not good, and then go on with it. I don't know if that's the case for Robert Calaz this week, but I really like what he has, and my idea of him as a prospect doesn't change. I still think he's a top 3 prospect in the Rocky system.
This is kind of an off-topic question. So you say top 3 in the system. Maybe I'll ask Tyler this question too. When we draft, whoever we draft at 4, where are you placing that person? Are you placing them at 1 or 2 in the system, behind Condon or ahead?
Well, it'll depend on who the prospect is. I can't answer that question right now, Lewis. It's
Okay, that's fair.
he'll be up there probably, but
I'm intrigued to ask Tyler that question because you wouldn't think 1 because Condon has so much prestige coming out of college.
right.
We also see what Condon has had so far, which is struggle.
What did Tyler say?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna ask him tomorrow. I think I'm gonna send him that.
Okay.
And then that's gonna be my answer too. Whatever Tyler says, it's gonna be what I say.
Okay. Yeah. He's the genius.
He's a draft guy. Yeah, he's a draft guy.
guy.
Kevin Fitzer, 7 for 17 this week with a double and a home run. He's been killing it so far. His started pretty brutal, but he's going to be a fun hitter, a lot of power. I think his WRC plus is above 100 now.
We missed a call up. Blake Wright. He's got moved up to Spokane. Yeah.
When did that happen? Was that today?
I think it was today or maybe yesterday. But Kevin Fitzer just slides into Blake Wright's spot, right? Unless there are more corresponding actions, but I don't know.
There you go. Breaking news. Yeah. I will say the Rockies are really slow with posting this stuff. Sometimes I gotta talk to Tim Slack more about this because I know. Anyways, just sometimes they're behind. Like the Calaz thing, when Calaz was on the IL, they just never posted it. Like it was just like they didn't say anything. I had to go to like Fresno's media page, and then they. Anyways, Yanquiel Reyes, another one of your guys, 7 for 18, a double, 3 walks, and 1 K. Go to the pitching side of things. Fisher Jameson with 6 innings pitched, 3 Ks, 1 walk, and 2 hits. Another great week for him. He could get the call up here pretty soon. Everett Catlett, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 7 Ks. A lot of strikeout stuff with him. Big guy there. So then Marcos Herrera, 5.2 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run. Had a great start yesterday. Really capped off the end of the week. then Zach Morris with a 4 innings pitch, 4 hits, and no earned runs.
And
Anything
his
else to add?
Fresno debut, right?
Yeah, it was his
Yeah.
debut week. Yeah.
There you go, Zach
So,
Morris.
with a good little couple of relief outings there. And then Brody Brito in the ACL, 7 for 17 this week with a double, 2 triples. Wilder Delise, I think that's how you say it, 4 for 10. And then Jesus Freitas went 3 for 7. ACL had kind of a rough week. But you know who isn't having a rough week? Isaac.
Who?
The Dominican Summer League. DSL Rockies are 18-3, the best DSL team. And then DSL Colorado is 11-10, so still a winning record. They also play each other tomorrow, so that's a fun little rivalry game we have going on tomorrow. But give us the rundown on who's been killing it so far this season.
Yeah, and to give credit, 11-3? The DSL
18-3.
18-3. Oh my gosh, I was off. 18-3. You have to be good at both sides of the ball. You could, as a team, you have to hit good. As a team, you have to pitch good, and that is something that
You're really
we are
breaking
seeing.
news here, Isaac.
Yeah, oh yeah. Banter. You can check that off your banter checklist today. But yeah, names down the board. We have Christian Arguelles, who we've talked about on the podcast last couple of times. Outfield prospect, left-handed hitter. Just absurd slash lane. 462 average, 546 on base, 718 slugging, 2 home runs, 15 walks, 8 strikeouts, 211 WRC plus. So that means he's 111% better than league average. And that's just so much fun. 18 years old. He's somebody that we're going to see get called up soon. Then we have Sebastian Blanco, shortstop out of the Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken. 419 average, 511 on base. He has 10 walks on the season, opposed to 17 strikeouts. A guy with a 171 WRC plus. So that means he's what percent above league average?
Wait, so 71%.
71% better. There we
Yeah.
go.
So I
He's good at
second-guessed myself.
bantering. He's good at bantering, and he's good at answering questions.
What can't I do?
Talk to woman.
Yeah.
Sorry, that
No,
was
we're
a
clipping
poll.
that. That's actually hilarious. No, you're right. That's my
Yeah.
weakness.
Then yeah, if we keep going down the list, we have 7 guys on this list. So you knocked out 2. Is there anybody you want to talk about specifically, or of the 5 hitters I have?
Outside of Ryan Ritter. No. Okay. Luis Morillon. This guy I've been keeping a lot of track of. 135 WRC plus. Just getting on base, having a high average. I know I said earlier, like the walks are kind of weird down here, but more walks and strikeouts. Just a fun bat in the lineup. Gonna be a corner outfielder most likely. So yeah. Also, Kibo Sedeno, I must say, good reliever. 9.1 innings pitch. Only 1 earned run and 14K per 9. So you love to see it.
It's crazy. Out of Venezuela.
There
Follower
you go, yeah.
of Blake Street Banter.
And us
Okay.
personally. Yeah.
There are two more players I'm going to talk about in the DSL. And that is Ronnie Ugarte. He is good at baseball. He's like 6'4". He has this huge stature over at first base. This season, he's hitting 351, 419 on base, 500 slugging, 1 home run, which that's going to increase. His game power is pretty legit, in my opinion, or raw power is. And the idea is if you have raw power, it's going to translate to game power. He has a 134 WRC plus, so good. And then
Yeah, he's one of the
side,
more pure hitters in the system, and he's going to play that first base DH kind of role. I don't know defensively what he's at, but if you're in first base in the DSL, you're probably going to be first base for a long time.
Yeah.
He's going to have, like you said, the raw power is there, but the contact is going to be there too. I like the bat. The hit tool is great. One of those guys that like can just hit the ball, and one of the more guys I'm more excited about. And we'll see. I'm sure he'll be here for the whole 60 game. Maybe he gets the ACL call up. But just as a hitter, like probably one of the best up and coming guys.
I agree, and I wouldn't be surprised if he started the season with Fresno next year. I have a hunch that he's gonna skip the ACL entirely. It's like we saw this with Yanquiel Fernandez and Bryant Betancourt. Ronnie Ugarte has the same kind of hitting not like on the level of Yanquiel, but he's super advanced for his age. And that kind of skip of the ACL, wouldn't be surprised.
Especially when
Then
you're playing
my
first base, it's just like go out there
yeah,
and hit. It's a lot easier to fit someone in the lineup. I guess ironically as a first baseman than it is like a center fielder, right? Like there's only one center field, but
right.
first base it's normally like first base DH, and he's going to get in the lineup.
And I have a fun pitcher that I want to talk about is Robert Calaz. He is out of Mexico. I think he's 17 years old, maybe 16, could be 18. I should have had this up, but he's thrown 12 and a third innings pitched, no earned runs. He's striking out nearly 14 per 9, only walking 2 per 9. The genuine results are definitely there, and I'm excited to see like what his stat line is going to be at the end of the season, because what we're looking at now is absurd. And if this is a guy the Rockies are going to decide, you're 16 years old, let's have you start the season in the ACL next year at 17 years old, and by the time you're in Fresno, you're going to be 18 or 19, and he could be a like Victor Juarez type, who's also from Mexico. So we have a actual Victor Juarez, we have a mini Victor Juarez. So
We're
Robert
set
Salas
for
isn't.
the future. The now and the future look great.
That's right. That's right.
Surprised you didn't talk about your boy Kevin Martinez.
Oh my gosh. Totally missed Kevin Martinez. I was looking through Fangraphs, the minor league leaderboards on Fangraphs a week ago or something, and 40% of swings batters take against Kevin Martinez are whiffs. Or I think no, it's 40% of his pitches end up being swings and misses, which is an absurd stat line. And yeah, 0.49 ERA across 18 and a third innings pitched. Insane stuff. I don't know what is overpowering batters. Like his velocity isn't.
I think I've heard that his shape of the fastball is just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's not gonna like overpower you, but especially at that level, like if you have,
Where'd you hear
that
that?
level, it's a little easier to get swings and misses.
Where did you hear that from? I'm super curious. I was trying to
Yeah, I
find
think it was
stuff
like
for so
Baseball
long.
America or something, or maybe it was
Okay,
Prospect.
was it? But yeah, no, it's working well. If
Fun,
it's
help me
his
out.
shape, he has a super awesome shape. I'm calling him out because he is the banter guy. He could take
That's
the
what I've been starting that.
the Jaggers, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, this is a good pod. Kevin Martinez, so great. Didn't he? Who's the guy that touched 100? Not him, but there's another guy. We'll
Angel
talk about him.
Jimenez.
Yes. That's a guy to
He
keep an
made
eye
it.
on.
He made a start with Fresno last week.
Yes.
He
I know
struck
that.
out his first batter. He touched 99 miles per hour.
Beautiful.
Guys were hitting off of him. His lack of like good secondary pitches, is what's stopping him from being like a top prospect. But again, you have a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. It's easier to build a solid rotation off of that. So
Yeah, once you have that fastball, you can really focus on the secondaries. I feel like what we see with a lot of pitchers where it's like the fastball is like 50 grade and you have good secondaries, but like the fastball isn't good enough to dominate, and also the secondaries because of that aren't good enough. But if you have a guy that has already a great fastball, and then you can maybe just build a secondary arsenal.
yeah,
You're kind of a clean slate. I know he's probably going to get teed off now, and the Juan Mejia effect, right, on my brain, where it's like Juan Mejia isn't, guys, what are we looking at Juan Mejia? Look past the numbers, right, with a guy like these guys that are so talented with their, especially with like a fastball. It only takes one or two secondaries, and then boom, they're dominant out of the pen.
yeah. And the boys that rode to Blake Street aren't usually wrong. So buy in.
They
Buy
must
into
call
these
us Blake.
guys. What?
No, okay. With that, we're gonna end the pod.
Yep. Yeah.
Shout out Rocks and minor league affiliates. Woo!